everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to make shortbread cookies. These fall in our category of icebox cookies, and we're going to be mixing these today using the sanding method. These are a really easy cookie not only to mix but also to customize however you would like. Today I'm going to be making mine with some Earl Grey Tea and orange zest, but you can do all kinds of add-ins with nuts or using dried fruits, using different zests to make whatever kind of cookie you would like to make. They're a great cookie to make ahead and just keep in your freezer, and then you can pull them out as you need them and slice and bake them, so you can always be having freshly baked cookies. So let's get started. My ingredients for today are going to be very soft room temperature butter, powdered sugar, about 1 tablespoon of orange zest, 2 bags of Earl Grey tea, kosher salt, vanilla extract, and all-purpose flour. I'll start by adding my butter, orange zest. I'll open up my tea bags and add that directly in, and then I'm going to sift my powdered sugar and then add that in. I'm going to start by mixing this on low speed, and I'm actually going to mix this on low the entire time. Since we're using the sanding method of mixing, it's similar to creaming, but instead of trying to incorporate air, we're actually just trying to just barely combine these ingredients. If we start adding a lot of air in, like we do in the creaming method where we would mix on medium speed, we would end up with a lot of spread in our cookies, and we want to try and avoid that when we're making shortbread. The sanding mixing method gives us a final texture of something that is sandy or something more that is a shortbread texture. So obviously for a shortbread cookie, that's exactly what we want. Continue mixing these first few ingredients on low speed and scraping as often as you need to until they are completely combined. You want to make sure that you don't see any lumps of butter in this and that it's fully incorporated. And this is why it's so important to have that butter really soft. If we had butter that was a little firmer, we would end up having to mix way too much to be able to get that butter to incorporate, and we would end up basically doing the creaming method. Continue mixing on low speed until all of the vanilla and salt have been fully incorporated, and then make sure you're scraping often. Sift the flour and then add it in 2 portions. We're still continuing to mix on low, not only to avoid incorporating air, but now also we want to make sure that we don't overdevelop the gluten, and mixing on low speed helps us achieve that. I'm mixing until the flour is almost combined, and then I'll add my remaining flour and mix on low until a dough fully forms. Remove the mixer from the bowl, and now you want to give it one last stir by hand so you can make sure that there's no flour hanging around the sides or the bottom of the bowl. Now I'm ready to portion my dough into logs. So I'm going to divide this into 4 equal pieces. Each one should be between 9.5 and 10 ounces each. Now I can roll out each portion of dough into a log. The logs will be about 10 inches in length, and I'm just using a little bit of extra all-purpose flour to help roll out my dough so that it doesn't stick to the countertop. And then you can also roll on the parchment paper as well if you find that that's a little bit easier for you. The goal of this is that we want to have a log that's perfectly consistent in shape all the way down, so that when we slice this log, every cookie will look the same. I'm also sort of tapping the ends in so that I don't end up with too much waste on the ends when I slice those rough edges away. Each log is going to get rolled up in parchment, and this is how we will store that dough in the either freezer or refrigerator for it to chill firm enough so that we can slice it. You can also roll up your logs of dough into a larger sheet of parchment. This is a half sheet, and this gives you the option of actually twisting the ends. So if you're going to be doing longer storage of this dough in the freezer, this is a better way to store. Now that my logs of dough have had a chance to be in the freezer for 30 minutes, so they're chilled all the way through, I'm going to be using a chef's knife to cut 1/4 inch thick slices. I'm going to trim off just the edge where it wouldn't be a nice clean piece of dough, and then now I'll just continue all the way down. Place your cookies on a parchment-lined half-sheet pan. You can place these 6 by 4 because we won't see much spreading since we use that sanding mixing method.